Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, I'm sorry I'm starting a little later than usual, so I figured tonight I'd do something a little bit different. I didn't get a chance to really do much today, as far as getting into stream like early in the afternoon, so I figured I'll do something different on here, but I'll do kind of like a late night stream. And I think what I'll do for a late night stream is kind of do something a little bit simple. Now, some of you know I've been doing a lot of my Rockstar drawings as of lately, where I've done some with different characters. And so I figured what I would do is I'll do one of Yakko. No, I'm sorry, not Yakko on Wakko. Now, some of you who were here for my other streams from last time, think about a few weeks back, I'd already did one of him where I haven't dressed out more as his voice actor Jess Harnell, because for those who know Jess Harnell, he's an actual rock singer in real life where he does the band called Rock Sugar. And so I figured I'd probably do another one with him, where I figured this time I'll probably do one where he's probably more like himself. And so I figured what I'll do here is that as you see, I already got his pose going, so I think he'll have his kind of head kind of tipped down a bit, so his hat kind of appears like above, just on the brim of his eyes. I think he'll have his ears at the very top of his head. Let me kind of bring his arms around, because the microphone's gonna be right here. Yeah, I apologize for starting so late though. But I know this particular stream, I'm figuring I'm gonna keep this one fairly. I'm not gonna stream for this for too long, since I know it is late. So I won't. So I'll try to keep everything kind of pretty much moving for the most part. Because I know where I am is gonna get pretty late pretty soon enough. So let me get his other sleeve here. I think maybe he's kind of giving out get the rock devil horns. So we come down and get his long shirt. And get his little feet. Let me get his tail while we're at it. Actually, no, let me make his tail straight. Figured that'll be a little bit more dynamic. Let me see. Let me get the brim of his hat. Maybe have it come down a little bit more so it's more at an angle. There we go. I can see he has had his eyes kind of like peeking out from underneath his hat. Let me kind of get around his little snout here. I'm gonna come down, come around, get his little mouth going. Let me get his tongue. And of course, you'll extend your tongue coming out, make it his goofy face, because that was kind of his thing. So I did that. Then we get part of the turtleneck, because he got kind of like a turtleneck thing going on. I'm trying to think if I want to add anything. If I want to add anything to his design. Because I was thinking I'm going to be adding maybe some glitter later on. Because I know a lot of like Harnell's outfits, whenever he performs, he uses a lot of glitter. In fact, that's kind of what I did for when I drew last time. But I figured I want to do something around where it's a little bit different, where it's less Harnell and more, Wakko, in a way. Let me get his little webbed feet. Ooh, excuse me, sorry. He is looking pretty good, so I think I'm gonna go straight in with the pen. Ooh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. So I think I'm gonna start off, with the ink pen here. I'm gonna get his little nose. Make sure that's very prominent. We get his eyes. And his mouth. I'm gonna bring it down around his snout. I remember when I was kind of learning how to draw the Warner character. That was something I had to really kind of get right. Make sure I kind of leave room, actually give space for it now. Because a lot of times what happens when I would draw their mouth, I realized I would make their snouts like way too thin. Get the brim of his hat. Let me bring this down. I gotta kind of angle a little bit more here. In fact, let me kind of bring the top of his hat down just a bit here in the back. Just bring up his little ears. Let's bring up the bottom of his shirt. And also I'm just kind of bring up the sleeves of his shirt up here. Then we get the to come back to a close little end. Then we'll do that. Then we get his little gloved hands. And since he's got 4 things, I don't have to worry too much about making sure pinky doesn't look too bad. I'm trying to think. Do I want to have the back? Because I know his head would only come out to here. I think I'll probably do something like that in the middle with him. Yeah, probably initially at that. That's a cool idea. I think that'll work just fine. I was gonna do like another picture. I did another picture I'd started on where I did with that animac I did not too long ago, and that one I was gonna do just a full like proper picture with that group, but I realized I still had a lot more work I need to kind of do with that before actually I decided to really see it through. So I figured I'd hold off on doing that one and do something a little bit different instead. That looks pretty good. Alright, trying to think. What do I want to do next? I'm trying to think if I want to add anything else, if anything at all. I think I'll add a little bit of scrubs for his tail, just to kind of give him a little bit of a feral look to him. Alright, so... Ooh, sorry about that. I swear I'm not as tired as I sound. So one thing I am going to do, I'm going to start going in with some of the base colors. So of course I'm going to go down in here for, yeah, actually, hang on. This might be a little too dark to use for him. Let me see if I got anything lighter I can use. Okay, perfect. This is perfect. It's kind of a grayish blue, but you know what? That's better than the other one I was going to use. In fact, I could probably use some colored pencils to probably like kind of go over it. Just kind of refine it a bit more. Other one. Let me make sure the camera's in full view. Okay, good. That looks good. Just kind of really come here. I try to make sure I keep it even consistency, even though sometimes it's a little tricky when using these markers. I know like they can be a little patchy with water-based ones. That, of course, we get his tongue. Ooh, that's kind of a brownish color. I wasn't expecting that. I might have used a different color. I think I'll use gray for the microphone. I wonder if that'll kind of lighten the tongue up a bit more. Ooh, okay, no, okay, that's not a good idea. That was a bad idea. Okay, not that. I tell you what I will do though. I am gonna use this pen for his initials. Actually, you know what? I can do something with that. With a different pen later on down the line. And so in fact, let me go and get my red marker out if I can find it. Where'd you go? Okay, here we go. Let's use a regular red here for his tongue. Let me color that in, and of course, I can't forget, you know, his signature hat. Even though I am kind of covering up for right now, I am going to bring it back out later on. How? Don't worry, you'll see just yet. So I'm just going to try to cut it as much as I can. I know it's kind of running out of ink, but that's cool. We're going to roll with it. And of course, I can't forget, you know, his nose kind of was his most prominent feature of him. So let me get the black marker. So I'm going to use that. Let me start with his ears up here. Let me get, you know, his eyes. And then get the other side, you know, his cheeks. Let me get the inside of his mouth. Let me get the other side. So we got that. That looks pretty good. Trying to see what else do we want to add before we move on to the next step. Trying to think. What do I want to add? I think I will add a little bit of shit. Has some extra shadows here, so I think I am going to go ahead and do just that. So I think I am going to use this blue I had here to kind of lay out our shadows. Use that to kind of outline his arms. There we go. Also, I'm gonna do the same for his hat too. So look, I got a dark red I can use here. So let me kind of break that out. So I'm gonna kind of go over that, just kind of get this whole area kind of nice and shadow. Let me get the brim of his hat. I'm gonna put that in shadow too. me get a shadow here for his fur. Let me get some shadows here on his hands. I think I'll have these shadows be very deep, very dark. Oh, that looks pretty good. Maybe add a little bit of shells here on his hand. Do it on the microphone here. There we go. So that looks pretty good. So I think now we'll move on to our next step. Let me get little ink pens out so I can kind of bring out some of these outlines a bit. Give me just one moment. So I am gonna do. I'm gonna start in the middle here, where the let me sure I'm not in a shot. I know I tend to lean over a lot whenever I tend to draw, so I'll make sure I'm not leaning too much where I'm hovering in front of the camera. Because I think I recall maybe a few instances where, funny enough, I think when I was streaming, and a lot of these happened early on too, where I realized I was leaning so far forward, my head was actually in the shot, and I hadn't intended on doing that. I'm just gonna use like this, this particular pen just like for the finer details of right now. I'm gonna move up to some thicker ones further down the lines as I'm actually kind of like working on these outlines. So let me go around his tongue here. They get the side of the microphone, and they get the side of his head here at the bottom. Let me kind of sharpen the edge, of his cheeks here. Let me get the other side of his cheeks here too. Let me bring them down. Let me get the top of his hat here. So let me bring around his little gloved hands. Then I'll have a little bit of his arm kind of like peek through on the bottom. It's actually coming together a lot quicker than I expected. I didn't realize it's only been 24 minutes. That's alright, because I wasn't expecting the stream to end up being too long, so that's a good thing. I think after I do this, I might hang it in for a night. Maybe I'll probably do a short stream on TikTok as well. Which I probably won't. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Because normally if I'm doing streaming on both services, usually I'll pick certain days to where I'll stream here and other days while I stream on TikTok. like say for example, if I stream on TikTok, I'll normally probably stream on probably usually like either a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And even then, like over there, I normally don't give people enough kind of notification, that I've started streaming there. Usually, folks they tend to find out. All right, cool. Get some water. Alright, let me use a thicker pen now. Let's see. Let me see what I have. What do I have? Okay, here we go. Let me kind of thicken up some of the outer lines here. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. May not make that line a little too thick for his tongue, but that's fine. I think I can make it work. Let me bring out some of those spikes I had earlier for his tail. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. So now I think what I can do is go ahead and move into the fun part next to start working on the outlines. And normally I was going to use this one right here, but some of you can probably see, it feels like I worked for the last stream I did, the ink is starting to run out. So luckily I got myself a new one that's got some fresh ink. So I'm going to go ahead and actually just use that. Actually, what am I doing? I didn't want to do that. I should. I'm gonna go on the actual edge and stuff. I didn't want to start the outline just yet. I almost got my steps mixed up for a moment. So I'm just gonna go around the edge. He's kind of go around his silhouette. Go make sure he has a nice silhouette that's nice and readable. A readable silhouette of him rocking out. Bring it out to the side. Let me calm down. Let me come around. Let me go to the top of his hat up here. Come around, go on this side here. Alright, so now we got our first pass. Good. So see, it's already sort of come together a little bit already, don't you think? Alright, so we did that. Now we'll go on and make that second pass. So now we're gonna do, I'm just gonna go around what we did again here. I'm just gonna go around, and just kind of go around the edge. And I'm just kind of going around along the shape that I already established under the first pass. I'm trying to make sure I leave enough room. In fact, I was planning because they only leave me a white like I did for the others, but I have a slightly different idea that I'm going to go ahead and use. Like, you'll probably see what I'm going to do for that in just a little while. Alright, looks all good. Let me go around his tail here. They go on top of his ears here. Okay, cool. Looking good already. So now for the next fun part, let me start blocking in our background. In fact, before I do that, let me use the rest of this other one I have here. Then I'm gonna kind of alternate. Because one thing that's happened with this one, it's starting to run out of ink. So I figured what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try, I think I can make the first pass with this one first. And see how much I can get with it before I can't really get any more with it. But yeah, you can see it's really starting to run low. But I figure I want to try to get as much use as I can before I have to go and actually kind of like call it for this pen. Because I'm the same way with pencils too, because like even if it's already like, almost down to the nub, I still always tend to want to use it on almost this very last nub to where I can't really use it anymore. Yeah, I think yeah, because it's not really making any little marks anymore. Yeah, I might as well go move on to the new one. I do kind of like that effect it did though. Hold the phone. Yeah, I'm sorry now. I just got a little inspiration there for a moment. I actually kind of liked how that looked. I think I'll have it all going just in that one direction here. Okay, now I'm gonna go and share with the new one now. I think what I will do is actually kind of go the opposite direction. Yeah, I think I'll kind of create this nice, neat little cross-hatching effect. Look over some of these gray marks I had here. Well, grayish marks. Let me put my sleeve back so I don't get too much this ink on my sleeve. At least it'll come out if it's on my hands. Not so much if it's on my shirt sleeve. But I don't worry about spraying it too much because this stuff dries pretty much instantly once you lay your mark down. Go around his feet. Alright. Okay, that's looking really good already. So, trying to think, what do I want to add next? Trying to think. Okay, I know exactly what I was going to do next. Let me get my other color Sharpie pens out. So one thing I am going to do, let me actually add his initials. You know, Wakko Warner. I might make another pass later on after I let that dry a little bit here. My color decides to get some of that red ink off. And make sure everything's still in shot. There we go. And I'm just gonna go around. I'm gonna go around our outline we got of Wakko here. And I'm just gonna make it all in yellow. I figure I kind of want to use yellow in some form because I figure I kind of want to be kind of yellow like their water tower they live in. Since their water tower is pretty much like red and yellow for the most part. Come on down. Up, we go around here too. I might make another pass with this later on. But again, until I do that, let me make another pass here. Yeah, that's looking alright. Cool. Alright. So, let me see, what do I want to add next? Let me get my bigger pens. gonna use that for the bottom of his hat. All right. Add around his feet. That's pretty good, so I'm gonna let that dry. Now I'm gonna use some other colors for the outer edges. Let me see how that looks. What this looks like golden yellow, golden orange. Ooh, I like that. I feel like it's starting to run out of ink on me too, so I'm going to try to use as much as I can before it gives out on me. There we go. There we go. Let me just go around the edge on the bottom. Just go around the edge, just going around the edge. It looks more like a regular orange, but I see another one I can use here too. In fact, I think I will go ahead and just use that as well. Just to kind of blend out a bit here, you know, with that that yellow. I was considering using yellow like for outside too, but I figured, no, I kind of want to keep everything, have this pop a bit more. So I'm not gonna really use it too much, use it on the outside. Alright, so let me get rid of the colored pencils. Let me do some of the shading here. We've got shade underneath where his tongue is. Shade here, let me shade his shadows. I think I'm gonna shade the edge, you know, the edge of the other sleeve here. Let me kind of get this underside the brim of his hat a bit here, kind of put that in shadow too. Alright. some more around his hands. Let me see if I can get a little down here underneath his snout too. Not gonna use too much, but just enough. Let me get part of his snout here. I don't have a dark blue I can use here for shadows too. I don't see it. So this will kind of show you how much I've been using these a lot. Used a lot more than I thought. Look how short this thing has gotten. I'll have to kind of retire that pretty soon enough. So I can probably use, so I can use for that. Let me see, what can I use this? Yeah, this is pretty dark enough, because I probably won't be able to use it that much. Oh, I know what I can use though as an alternative. I'm gonna go down with this first. That's like a little bit complementary color type of deal. I'm gonna lay this down, just kind of darken and kind of add a little bit of gradient to the shadow. I think I'll do a little bit here for his tongue too. Trying to see what else can I add, because I'm already liking how it's looking already. I may not need to really add anything else. Maybe add a little bit like brief little shadow here from the microphone. I will use this kind of like kind of thicken up some of the lines near the edge here. I think I will do that. The inside of his sleeve. You know what, guys? I believe that's probably it. We can do like for our Wakko Warner here. I think that's all we can do for him here. He's already looking pretty good. I think the only other thing, last thing I do want to add, I do have a light blue pencil I can use here. I think I'll use a little bit of that just for certain parts on his shirt, and really just kind of get some extra color back into his shirt too. Because I noticed like his shirt was looking kind of pale, even though I know in the show, his shirt could look pale depending on like what animation studio he was with. Because I think the show they had like 6 different studios work on the show. Alright guys, I believe, let me see, let me add a little bit of extra yellow here for, actually let me use like white here. I know what I want to use. Yeah, there we go. Now that's popping. Use that here, use that on his tongue here. Alright guys, so I hope those for those of you that kind of dropped in like for tonight's stream, I'm sorry it was kind of at the last minute. I meant to do it a little bit earlier, but I appreciate you those who actually kind of drop in, even if it was just for a brief moment. And so I hope to be back around the same time, our usual time on next this upcoming Saturday. And until then, guys, hope you guys have a great night, a great week. Until then, have a great day, and see you next time.